Take a closer look now at the Fed's program and really the opposition to it. Joining us right now to talk about it, economist Vincent Reinhart. He served as Monetary Affairs Director at the Federal Reserve, and while there, he co-wrote 2 papers with Ben Bernanke. He's now a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute, and he joins us from Washington. Vince, great to have you back here on Street Smart. So what do you make of these critics speaking out?
So I think there's 2 different things going on. One is purely political, and that is a friend of my enemy is my enemy. When the G20 agenda went off the rails because of quantitative easing, both President Obama and Treasury Secretary Geithner had to step in and defend the Fed. But that then brings the Fed into a more political arena, and if the president and the secretary can defend them, then other people on the right can attack them. The other one is really a statement of principle. Basically, the economic team in the U.S. right now is almost completely dysfunctional. We don't have a coherent tax system. We can't do fiscal stimulus. We haven't come to grips with the legacy mortgage losses. And so we can't do the things that are necessary and more likely to succeed in reinvigorating the recovery and ensuring an expansion. Ben Bernanke looks around and says he's the only guy in town. He's the only player who can still do something. And so he's pushing himself to do something that is a little risky, quantitative easing, maybe a lot risky, but it works in the right direction.
But Vince,
what the signers of the letter. Okay.
No, but let me just break in for a second, because I mean, who's right? I mean, is more quantitative easing at this point going to create jobs? Most folks say no, it's not going to. I mean, don't they have a point? I mean, what more can this do?
Look, it works in the right direction, but it is a risky strategy. Why does it work in the right direction? Because it creates more reserves and it helps lower Treasury yields. The 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is at an all-time low right now. We've had a good-sized rally in Treasury markets over the summer and into the fall on the expectation of quantitative easing. And it does work to depreciate the exchange value of the dollar, which puts a limit on disinflation and supports our goods in the export market. This isn't really about creating an inflation. It's trying to ward off an unwelcome disinflation.
But we are seeing, the 30-year bond, it rose to its highest level since May. So we are seeing yields, though, move up. That's not what the Fed wants to see happen.
Yeah, that's the problem with the execution. Quantitative easing is a risky strategy, and it has to be executed well. The problem about the way the Fed's going about it and the fact that it doesn't have agreement internally and is now attacked on the outside is kind of losing the theme of its message, and that's a real risk.
Do you think Ben Bernanke is going to respond in some way? Do you think this is going to make him nervous? You've written several papers with him. I'm curious if you're talking to him at all. I mean, do you think this will impact him in any of his future policy decisions?
That's his introspection, and I could not possibly speak for him on that. What I would say is it is going to make the trips to Capitol Hill harder. It is going to make every decision scrutinized more and more criticism. It's also going to strengthen the internal opposition, because the internal opposition is going to say, we're not popular internationally, we're not popular domestically, we're not popular by the politicians or our colleague economists. That's going to make his life harder in getting the social cohesion.
But Vince, got 10 seconds here. It's going to make it harder, but do you think, you know him, you've worked with him, do you think it could make him change his mind about what he does in terms of, again, future policy actions?
I don't think he changes his mind, but I don't think he works quite as hard to get the coalition. It's going to be harder on the coalition, and in the end, this means that FOMC policy is going to be a little tighter than I would have thought.
Certainly politics at play, though. All right, Vince, going to leave it there. Vince, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Vince Reinhart over at the American Enterprise Institute. We'll come